Hi, my name is Louise.
And hi, I'm Emma.
And you're listening to Murder or Myth,
the true crime podcast where not everything is true.
The aim of the game is to find out whether the story is actually a murder or if it's just a myth.
Now, let's get started.
Hi Emma, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Louise. How are you?
I'm good. So, let's just dive straight into it, will we?
Yeah.
For episode 41, I will be telling Emma a story of a New York real estate heir who had gotten away with his crimes until he admitted them on a microphone he was unaware was turned on.
Oh, okay. Intriguing.
So, Robert Durst married his first wife, Kathleen McCormack, in 1973. 9 years later, on February 1st, 1982, Kathleen Durst was reported missing. There was circumstantial evidence against Mr. Durst. The couple had been fighting that night, and also like public fights.
Right.
Or fighting in public, like there'd been witnesses around.
Like many witnesses to that?
Not sure.
Okay.
Kathleen had left a friend's house that night after getting a call from her husband, or the night before maybe, after getting a call from her husband. And 3 weeks prior, Kathleen had been treated for bruises on her face in a medical centre.
Okay, so like suspicious activity.
Suspicious. So Kathleen had told a friend that Mr. Durst had beat her, but she didn't press charges.
Okay, so why would she go to him if he rang her? She left the friend's house.
She left the friend's
house. He rang
house.
her. Oh, so we don't know where she went, I guess.
We don't know where she went. It kind of looks suspicious that he contacted her, I guess. That's the last time she was saw was at she was seen was at the friend's house.
Okay, yeah.
And then was obviously going to meet him, I guess. So her friend also spoke that at the time Kathleen had been gathering evidence for a divorce lawyer.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I get you.
That Mr. Durst had cut off her credit cards and stopped paying her tuition fees.
Oh, okay, so she was in college.
She was in medical school.
Okay.
So he divorced her 8 years later, and she was declared dead legally, but her body was never found.
Okay, so she was missing, and he went through with a divorce anyways?
Yeah.
On a missing person?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2000, Durst's friend, like a long-term friend, Susan Berman, was shot in her home in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
She was a journalist, and it was believed that he killed her as she was going to tell the police of his involvement in his wife's disappearance.
Oh, right, okay.
However, again, the evidence was too circumstantial and no one was arrested. But after her death, Mr. Durst went into hiding.
Oh, so like he was never... Well, I guess he was a suspect.
He was a suspect because he had the motive that she was gonna talk to the police.
But he went into
hiding
just in case. Okay.
But yeah, he kind of went
That's
on the
a bit
run.
suspicious as well, like. Why would you run if you're technically innocent?
So 1 year later, in 2001, while Mr. Durst was residing in Texas, his neighbour Morris Black was shot in Mr. Durst's apartment. So Mr. Durst was arrested, but shortly after released on bail, and again went into hiding, missing the court's hearing.
Right.
So he was found while trying to shoplift in a groceries shop, with a stolen car that held $37,000 in cash, marijuana, and 2 guns.
Okay.
So, in the 2003 trial for Morris Black's death, Durst said that he had acted in self-defense and that he feared no one would believe his story, so he fled.
Right.
He was acquitted.
He was acquitted?
Yeah, and released.
Okay. So he literally was like, I went on the run after something happened in my house, and they're like, not guilty.
Literally, he said it was self-defense and that no one would believe him. So he's... for self-defense.
Okay.
So in 2015, after all these crimes, he was filming for a documentary about the case, as like one of the suspects.
Yeah.
And unknowingly admitted his guilt to the cases while in the bathroom in between one of the interviews. So the microphone was still on, and he said, quote, "killed them all, of course," and also mentioned that he had lied to the police about his whereabouts on the night of his ex-wife's disappearance.
Okay.
So he was eventually arrested and put on trial in 2020, but the trials got delayed due to the pandemic. He died aged 78 of cardiac arrest as a prisoner in Stockton, California.
Okay. A few thoughts on this one. Initially, I was going to say myth. like just lots of different details. You know, like why would he go on the run if he was like innocent seemingly? Why did he get off? Why was he like innocent even though he went on the run after something that happened in his house? Like, you know, like suspicious things like that. Then him confessing it on tape rings a bell. But I don't know, is that like a recent murder story? I'm like, did you just take inspiration from that? So then I was like leaning towards murder, because I had this thing in my head of like someone that was like killed her, like committed. He did say something in the bathroom, but I'm like, is this Louise's story or is this heavily inspired? And my hunch was wrong last time, but now I think it's a murder story, so I'm gonna say murder off my hunch again.
You trust your hunches?
I'm gonna go down with them if they're wrong. I'm just gonna commit.
Yeah, it's a murder story.
Okay.
And yeah, it was while filming like a documentary about himself, The Jinx.
Was it recently?
It was in 2015.
Okay.
So it wasn't super recent.
Something came up recently.
But I definitely think that's what you're referring to, because this is kind of like known for that.
Okay.
I don't think there's many, well, not that I've heard many other stories that follow like him literally confessing
being mic'd up
on a microphone.
thing.
But yeah, kind of crazy that like I'm not sure, like I said, he was very well off.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a real estate dynasty and that he had come from, the family. So I don't know, looking further into the story, if there was something there to do with like the amount of money that he came from, but it's like how did he get away with it time after time?
Yeah, because that's actually another thing I was meant to say. It reminded me of the staircase murder.
Yeah.
You know the way you said like, oh, he murdered the first wife and then went on the run and then murdered someone else, and then the journalist that was going to come out with stuff.
Oh yeah.
It was like the staircase, like he murdered someone years ago and but wasn't fully convicted. Yeah. So then he done the same thing again, really similarly, like eerily.
Similar story, yeah.
So then I was like, is this inspiration from that? But no, it's just like once you get away, like liable to do it again, I guess. But yeah, like circumstantial evidence is like, I don't know. Yeah,
and that's also what made me think, if we are going to reference a previous episode that, you know, where there was circumstantial evidence in the entomologist case, it's like what is circumstantial and different? Like, because I would argue that this evidence is much more substantial than that evidence with the bugs on the wheels were. So it's like, I guess just like by state, by region, by lawyer kind of thing.
I guess how good your lawyers are, and like if there was witnesses that even could place you
and
there.
And how you convince the jury and stuff, I guess, like the story that's told. So, but yeah.
True.
Well, thanks for listening, Emma, and viewers.
No problem.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
On this week's episode,
you correctly guessed.
This week's episode, I correctly guessed Louise's story was in fact a murder.
Find us on all streaming platforms.
Join us next week for another thrilling adventure.
Remember, it's myth until proven murder. Slay.